Yes. Hello? Yeah, there we go. Hello, I'm Val Smith, and today I'm reviewing Turbo Racers Trailblazer. This is the first book of that. So, the idea of this book is very simple. It's basically a speed racer mixed with Kingsman and, if you haven't seen it, The Last Starfighter. So, the idea is that basically this great old racer badass who's set up as a mysterious character at the beginning. Um, Basically manages to find these four kids to basically have a contest to see which of them will be, you know, a racer that will go on to race in turbo racing. And of course, the kids actually are really invested in turbo racing and so on and so forth. And yeah. So what is turbo racing? Well, it's kind of similar to NASCAR, but with one exception: the vehicles can actually change. So think of like the Bond car. You know how you have the Bond car, normal Bond car, and then it goes in the water and turns into like a car submarine. It's that sort of thing. The cars change from an airplane to a submarine like vehicle and then a car. So, it's like that. And so it changes from vehicle to vehicle, from track to track, where it's on the streets, in the air, or under the water. So it actually is interesting in that aspect. And, the general story concept is actually really cool. Doing a sort of speed racer story like story, but, with the concept of Kingsmen in terms of you know, a, um, a down on his luck kid that actually wants to get ahead and racing. It's a great idea, underdog coming hero kind of thing, and I think the overall concept of it is great, but it's completely wasted. Now the first third of it is okay, it's well set up, but then they ruin it. The first thing they ruin is the teacher guy, Gal actually. Yeah. See, when they reveal who the mysterious figure is that brought them all together in the contest, it's very underwhelming. It's just your conventional badass chick. We find out later that she's a villain, but her plan is really stupid and unnecessary. Basically, they set up that her plan was two things simultaneously that doesn't really add up or make any sense. So the first thing is that she wants to change turbo racing into a sort of demolition derby, which doesn't make sense. This gal is super rich. She like basically is part of a big multi-dollar company. If she wanted to change turbo racing into a whole nother sport or change the rules of the game, she could do it by just buying the sport out. She literally has the money and the resources to do that. It would have been far more easier and effective than the nonsensical teaching these kids to cheat and cause little booby trap stuff. I mean, it doesn't make any logical sense. Literally, NASCAR changed the way they did their tracks at one point in a whole new direction with the weird terminate route compared to the original. I'm not a huge NASCAR fan. I forget the exact way it was done, but the point is, you can easily change the rules of the sport if you buy out the companies or buy out the rate, the tracks, players, whatever. Especially if you have the resources, and this woman has the resources, so it doesn't even make any sense. Now, the second reason sort of would make sense, but it completely undermines her character. Like they set up earlier on that this racer was basically a near badass who was almost untouchable and undefeatable and just barely lost the final race due to a heavy car crash accident that deeply scarred said person, which would have been cool and inspirational. This gal training these youngins to actually win the race and the accomplishment she'd feel, but no, no, no. Instead, what they did was have it where she would cheat to win by teaching the other racers to all go in the race and cause cheat to defeat all the other players so she could just take the lead with her bad driving, which basically undermines the whole setup of her character being a badass, because that just indicates that she probably cheated all those other races when she won anyways. So it's just depressing. Like I'm not saying that you can't have a story where the person that trains a hero can't turn evil. Like the idea of that is good and it can work and it has worked, but it just doesn't work here. It's just underwhelming and disappointing. It's just and that's not even the worst of it. One of the worst things is this. This basically proves how bad this book is, and it's what really pissed me off the most. So in the book, they mention about this other type of racing that happens in this world, where it's with another vehicle that uses a helicopter instead of airplane and some other type of boat thing, like a boat on land kind of thing, whatever. But it's not counted. Let me repeat this again. It is not counted as part of the turbo racing vehicles. It's only the boat with the airplane wings that. And this one racer that's in the competition with the with the other characters, um, she basically says, and I think her name's Aya or something like that. She basically says that she's better with this helicopter-like vehicle than in this racing for turbo racing than she is for the turbo racing vehicles herself. Which begs the question: why are you even, in this contest then, if you're not good enough to drive the vehicle that this sport is set for? And you know what the so-called badass trainee person does? Yep, she gives her that exact vehicle to compete in their tech contest race to be a turbo racer, basically. And the reason why this is so annoying is the fact that this gal was one of the big supporters of a pact that all the kids made. Now, but as their leader essentially is teaching them how to cheat, they decide that, hey, let's not cheat. Let's make a pact that we don't cheat in this race. Because they're about to do one of their first big contest races, and they make this pact to not cheat. And just before they go in the race, the girl is literally giving this helicopter vehicle to race in. That's like, to put this in context, okay? That's like having an Indy 500 vehicle in a NASCAR race, or vice versa. It is nonsensical and not fair in any way. It is cheating, especially like if the NASCAR vehicle was chasing off against an Indy 500 and the Indy 500 was going in the NASCAR court race, the way they drive the vehicles, whatever the fuck track. That's where I was looking for. And yet she's literally cheating with this completely different vehicle that isn't allowed in the fucking race that they're competing against to be a turbo racer in the first place. Like, what the fuck? This is what pissed me off the book right away. Like, and the fact that she is oblivious to this. She's all happy. None of the kids get upset about this. No one even points like, hey, you're cheating because you're using a vehicle that's not part of this fucking contest. Anyways, I don't like this book. It's just, I don't think it's that good, honestly. It's a disappointment. Like, it's a good concept that's just poorly developed, poorly written. The characters become more and more uninteresting as it progresses. It's a complete disappointment, and I still just anyways, that's all I gotta say about that. So see you later. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye. 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 Bye. Bye.